But there is a difference between a guy who's 40 and a girl who's 40. Do you guys agree or disagree?
Absolutely.
Because at 40 for a woman, it's basically over.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, guys aren't.
As far as having kids?
Guys are having kids and like physically for most women. Yeah. I mean, there's exceptions, sure, but that's not the rule. But as a 40-year-old guy that like, you know, if you're doing pretty well, like you could get married tomorrow with a 25-year-old, have 5 kids and still have a whole life. That's just not the case biologically for women.
Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Catacombs. First off, man, yeah, it's been a little while since I posted. Apologize for that. I like to try to keep a schedule, but in these last few weeks, it's been a little hectic for me, so I haven't been able to post, but I'm back now. But as you saw in the clip with Adam and his guests on Valuetainment money, and he has a couple of guests on there, one of them of which went viral by the name of Femsapien, the real Femsapien, and pearlythings. Yeah, they're starting to pick up some steam with their content. A lot of their content you would probably consider red pill or whatnot, but one of them is married and the other one just kind of gets it. And as you saw, Adam say there's a difference between men and women who turn 40. Men who turn 40, you know, are more desirable, especially the men who are actually doing well. Let's just put that out there. You can't be a man and be 40 years old and making $30,000 a year. That's not a desirable man. Just because you're 40 doesn't mean that automatically as a man you're desirable. I want to put that out there. You actually have to have something going on. You have to have something that of substance. You have to have grown as a person. You have to have grown financially significantly in order to consider yourself a successful 40-year-old man. Now, as I think what Pearly Things was about to get into, she was about to get into the fact that there is a difference between men and women biologically, especially when you're wanting to have kids and things like that. It's absolutely true, okay? A man at 40 years old is really still, he's still in the mix when it comes to being able to have children and things like that. He's still physically strong and along those lines. When it comes to having children with women, it declines after 35. This is a biological fact, okay? And I'm sick and tired of modern ideas trying to make it not so. The only way you can do that, the only way you can do it safely, if you're not a woman, because back in the day, way back in the day, yeah, there were people having kids at 40, but they were stronger human beings back then. Like right now, even the men back then were stronger. Men of today have a lower sperm count than men 50 years ago. That's a fact, okay? So we got to understand that the human beings physically were stronger back then so they can deal with things. Today, you got to science the hell out of a woman's pregnancy if she's over 40. That's just a fact, man. And that's one of the things that I'm afraid of, dealing with women who are older. Since I'm now in my 30s, a woman who's older than me is kind of a problem. If I was like 20 years old and she was older than me by 3 or 4 years, not so much of a big deal. But now it is a big deal. I'm like, well, wait a minute. You haven't had any kids yet? I don't know. I got to deal with somebody younger. But let's continue with the video.
Yeah, that's true. Comments?
Yeah, I think it's sad. And also, in some way, I think it's embarrassing for women that are put in those situations, because how do you make it to 40 and not learn how to get along with a man?
That's actually a good question. That's actually a really good question. How do you make it to 40 and not to get along with a man? I mean, you could pose the same question for some men too, who haven't really worked on themselves and are pissed off because they are unsuccessful with women, but you're unsuccessful with women because you refuse to improve yourself. So that question can kind of go both ways. But women, y'all kind of have it easier. It seems like you would have a lot more practice because a lot more men would approach you. See, men don't have that luxury of getting approached on a daily basis or weekly basis or monthly basis or at all by women, because y'all typically don't approach men. Men are mostly doing the approaching and mostly dealing with all the rejection. So when it comes to a man approaching a woman, I can understand why he would not have as much practice. But a woman, I don't get it, because you're constantly getting, especially if you are a high ranking woman, if you're like a 7, 8 and up and stuff like that, you're going to be getting a lot of people hitting on you. And in today's world, I mean, you're going to get both men and women hitting on you. So your social skills should be top notch. So you should be able to figure out how to deal with people who would make you, who is most compatible with who you could talk to and things like that. But yeah, let's continue.
Along with a man. How do you make it that far and you just never pick up on cues? And sometimes these women have children, and that's great. And, you know, sometimes they don't have a man, but sometimes they don't have either which one. They're just absolutely by themselves. And so, like, is that a full life? Because so they have girlfriends, that's great. But are all of those girlfriends single, or are they also like married with children, or they have professions?
Yeah, there's a reason why there's a saying called single people keep people single, or single women keep women single. Like, it's really not a good look if you are in a relationship and you are the only one in a relationship or surrounded by single women. They're gonna be putting ideas in your head. So men, watch out for your girls who are hanging around a bunch of single women. It's not a good look.
It seems lonely to me, and I think women come out and they try to say that it's not, and I think it's a cope. You can see it on the TikTok pages. Like, look at me, I'm so happy, I'm drinking wine, and I'm 40, and I'm single.
The drinking wine part, I think that's mostly a white girl thing. Drinking beer, I've seen a lot of Latinas do that. But when it comes to black women, I've noticed that black women tend to lean more towards weed, smoking weed all the time, like literally all goddamn day. I've dealt with a few women that literally would smoke lunch, breakfast, and dinner, and maybe a snack in between. It's a bit much. And then, you know, like I said, the other women, you know, they have their vices as well with Latinas with beer, white women with alcohol. It's really weird, the dynamic. At least that's what I have witnessed.
Well,
if you're so happy, why do you have to make your entire TikTok page and your identity
I'll tell you,
about that?
I'm not going to say this girl's name, but I'll give a very clear example of someone that every time I'm like, damn you. She was one of the hottest girls in high school. Grew up, you know, in her 20s. Guys were throwing them.
I do want to say one thing about this guy, Adam, man. I used to watch some videos over the last couple of months. You know, I've started kind of getting into the Valuetainment thing. I've watched their videos before, but from what I've seen in like the last 8 months, this guy, Adam, man, would always have the weirdest rebuttals or weirdest ideas, and he just seems like a real beta type of dude. That's the energy that I'm getting off from him. But in this particular video, he's actually spitting some facts, and I think he always knew those facts, but he was just being politically correct in a lot of the material that he was dealing with before. I think that's what's happening. But now that he's sitting in front of women telling him that, no, you're right, he's like, oh, okay. I guess I'll continue to with my point now since you guys think I'm right. That's the energy that I'm getting off of Adam here.
Themselves left and right. She had her pick of the litter. Mm-hmm. By 30, she was still out there in South Beach doing her thing, still didn't have a man. And then I didn't see her for many years, right? I think she lived in New York doing her thing. But then I ran into her, I don't know, maybe like 3-ish years ago. And she was in her late 30s, early 40s. Now, the dude that she was, like, the guys that were pursuing her, certified studs in their 20s or whatever. Mm-hmm. Now, essentially, she's like, hey, what's up with your friend over there?
That's what happens. You know, as they get older, they start to understand that I've had women tell me, some of the women actually that I've dated who were older than me, few years older than me, would tell me, yeah, me and my girlfriends got together. You know, we went and had brunch. That's what they do. We went and had brunch, and they tell me that, man, the guys aren't coming at us like they used to. Like, we don't understand. It's like weird. Well, it's not weird. It's because you're getting older and you don't look as good as you once did. It's just the facts. Women are judged off of their looks and their beauty, and men are judged off of their utility and what they've gathered, what resources they've gathered. That's what it is. That's how it's been since human beings were able to form civilizations. That's how it was. That's how it is. That's how it will continue to be. And the quicker these women understand that, the better off they will be. Women in the past understood that. Women in the past understood that. I don't know what it is about these modern women now. They just want to go against every piece of grain that there is. But they're figuring out that, damn, I'm 38 and 39. It ain't the same no more. Yeah, you can still get your back blown out because, you know, that we all got needs. But you're not going to get the same caliber dudes as you were once getting when you were 23 at 38. It's just not going to happen, man. So y'all women really have to understand that. Like, yo, when you're young, that's the best time for you. And for men, when you get a little bit older, that's going to be the best time for you because that gives you some time to build yourself up and get your resources and get your shit together. That's what you have to work on. Men, you have to work on that. And women, you have to maintain your beauty, and you have to be able, you're going to have to move a little bit quicker than men as far as when it comes to relationships and things like that. That's the cards that we have, that the genders have been dealt with.
And like this guy, I wouldn't say he's a stud. So now the girl who was 21, 25, even 30 that had her pick of the litter has to realize that at 40, the studs aren't exactly throwing themselves on her anymore.
That's how it is. Plain and simple. And I wish Adam stopped talking like he's trying to tiptoe around the issue. Just say it straight, man. You are not it no more. When you turn 38, 39, you're not the same as when you were 26. It's just not the same. Stop tiptoeing around it, man. Tell it straight. These women can handle it. Both of these women, the Fem Sapien and Pearly Things, they get it. They understand it. Hell, they tell women in their content what it is.
Well, that's something a woman had to deal with. And I felt like so bad. I was like, and I told the guy, because I'm friends with the guy, because he was like, what's up? I was like, dude, you don't understand. In high school, college, she was like the hottest chick. He's like, yeah, but. So
I'm going to leave it there. That was a quick little, well, not really quick, but Value Money. That was a nice interview that they did with those two ladies. I appreciate their content. I hope their content gets a little bit more traction. So the younger women, because the millennials, man, it's almost a lost cause. But Gen Z, I think it is. I think you guys have a chance. You have a fighting chance. There's too much information out here for you to see. There's a lot of viral videos, so you're gonna pick up on something by accident, at least. I hope y'all actually pay attention to it and take heed to it. Now, I want to say this one thing though, because a lot of people always assume that women aren't just supposed to just not ever have fun, or only worry about relationships only, and that's it. I don't think that should be a lifelong goal for women, to just get married and then that's the end all be all. I do believe that for women, when you're in your late teens and your early 20s, and I'm talking about early 20s, like 20 to 23, I think you should have fun. Go ahead and travel and do your thing. But after 23, man, when you start turning in, 24, between 24 and 28, because we live in a modern society, I think it's fair that women have their chance at being able to be out there and just and experience some things. But y'all have to understand your window to do that is a small window. Okay, don't let that go on for 20 years, and then when you turn 40, you're like, oh, now I want things to slow down. No, you can't. You don't have that luxury. So yeah, by the time you're like 28, you should have somebody by that time. Your early 20s, late teens, up to 23, do your thing. But then after that, you gotta turn on the serious switch and get things popping. And as for young men, y'all got to spend some time working on yourself. Like I said, you got to build yourself, because you're not as valuable at 20 years old as you will be at 30. Okay, unless you're an athlete or some entertainer that's just hit it big, and that doesn't happen all the time. The average guy out here, you really got to put in work, man. And the average guy, you're not going to be valuable until you're in your 30s after you've put in some work. Believe me. I'm talking from experience. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there. And I wish y'all the best of luck. And like, comment, subscribe to the channel. And until the next one, y'all be easy.